I mean, Bitcoin's up over 280% since January 23. It's up over 50% this year. It's reasonable for any asset that has risen that much to cool off a bit.
We're joined now by Alex Thorne, Galaxy Digital Head of Research. If we're thinking about all the uncertainty in the industry, you're saying Bitcoin is kind of exempt right now from a lot of that uncertainty. Does that just create more money flowing into Bitcoin? And what is the case for that? I mean, you've seen kind of Bitcoin level off here and really limit itself in terms of how much more interest can be drawn in the wake of the advent of the ETF and in the wake of the halving. What's the next catalyst? And is Bitcoin being suppressed at these levels kind of a cap on how big the industry could grow?
Pointed question. I appreciate it very much. I think that we've had such an extreme rise. I mean, Bitcoin's up over 280% since January 23. It's up over 50% this year. It's reasonable for any asset that has risen that much to cool off a bit. Frankly, I mean, it's almost humorous because I was on the show over a year ago and we were talking when Bitcoin was about $22,000 about the prospects. Obviously, a lot can change for Bitcoin. From Catalyst standpoint, you have these advisor platforms and wealth management platforms that really haven't turned on selling Bitcoin ETFs on an unsolicited basis yet. When we predicted in October that there would be 13 or 14 billion in net inflows into these ETFs, that was solely relying on those wealth management platforms and advisors. And instead, we've seen about that much come in pretty much through brokerage trading platforms. So I think you'll see a lot more interest. Obviously, the macro situation is part of that. I think obviously with rates and if we see some easing on the monetary side, risk assets in general will benefit.
Alex, what about the recent flows into the ETFs? What are they telling you about the direction moving forward?
I would say that obviously we saw significant outflows over the prior 2 weeks as Bitcoin, dipped below 60,000. I don't personally believe that the outflows necessarily caused the dip. I think if you look at the flows versus the daily float on Bitcoin, they're still not really the majority at all. I think you saw some folks take gains perhaps, and that accounts for some of the outflows, but something like 90+% of the capital that came into those ETFs between February and April did not exit last week. So I happen to think that the ETF buyers, particularly later when they're comprised primarily of advisors and wealth managers, will be sort of stronger hands than short-term traders.
Right.
And I think the outflows showed that.
Alex, you gotta leave it there. Thank you so much for your time.